Let's go over to the CBN News Desk for today's top headlines.
Gordon, now that the Supreme Court has changed the definition of marriage, many Christians are trying to figure out what that means for them. With some warning, religious freedom is the next major issue in the battle over marriage. And some experts, like Chief Justice John Roberts, are also warning the ruling could also open the door to other forms of marriage, like polygamy. Jennifer Wishon has the story from Washington.
Outside the Supreme Court, it's back to business as usual. But there's no denying that the votes of 5 justices dramatically changed the nation.
And that has profound impacts. Changes what kids are taught in the school, changes the way religious organizations are treated.
Over the weekend, gay pride parades and celebrations from California to Chicago, even Alaska, made news. The court's decision doesn't take effect for several weeks, but even in states that didn't allow gay marriage, like Georgia,
you're gathered here today.
Same-sex couples were allowed to wed.
I think everyone has the right to be happy, and we were kind of raised with the mentality that you should do what makes you happy.
But many Americans fear that sentiment won't apply to people with religious objections to the government's new definition of marriage. The next fight is religious liberty, as some fear the court's ruling on marriage will embolden those who seek to punish Christians who wish to live, work, and raise their families in accordance with their faith.
Religious liberty is not just the freedom to worship in your chapel, it's the freedom to live out your faith in everyday life, Monday through Sunday, in the workplace, in the public square, in the marketplace, at your home, at your school, at your charity.
Many fear the court's ruling opens the door for a number of unconventional marriages to eventually win favor.
If California were to redefine marriage to include polygamy and polyamory, could a Texan go to California and have a group marriage and then move back to Texas and say, the Constitution requires you recognize this?
The what-ifs and the reality of gay marriage in all 50 states will be hot on the campaign trail this summer, and the divisions are miles apart. While all of the Democratic candidates celebrated the court's ruling, all of the Republican candidates expressed some level of disappointment.
I think the left is now going to go after our First Amendment rights. I think it is wrong for the federal government to force Christian individuals, businesses, pastors, churches to participate in wedding ceremonies that violate our sincerely held religious beliefs. We have to stand up and fight for religious liberty.
If you have a church, a mosque, or a synagogue, and you're following your faith and you refuse to perform a same-sex marriage because it's outside the tenets of your faith, in my presidency, you will not lose your tax-exempt status.
Are we going to trade one level of what's called discrimination for a new level of discrimination against people of faith?
The problem here is that the government is going to put people of faith in an untenable situation where they're forced to choose between obeying God and obeying government.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Stock markets around the world today took a major hit after it appeared Greece could default on its international debt. The Greek Prime Minister announced banks will be closed for 6 business days starting today. Economists and investors worry that Greece's problems could hurt other countries as well. Caitlin Burke has the story.
Greece one step closer today to financial chaos. Over the weekend, the country's prime minister announcing a decision to close banks for 6 business days. Cash withdrawals are also restricted, with Greek citizens allowed to take only $66 per day. The move comes after last-ditch talks between Greece and its lenders broke down last week when the Greek prime minister called for a surprise referendum on the country's bailout. He's now putting it to the Greek people to vote on whether to accept the bailout plans or reject them. The people of Greece have had mixed reactions about such a vote.
I have no idea what we're voting for. Yes or no, we don't know what to say. I think we shouldn't have gone so far to get into this mess.
Now it's our time to say no, because they want the whole our land. They want our freedom, they want our rights, they want our properties, they want our homeland. I think the Greek people will fight back.
The concern is that Greece will default on its debt and try to solve its financial crisis by abandoning the euro. International leaders are now desperately looking for a solution that will allow Greece to keep using the euro as its currency. But Greece won't be getting any help from the European Central Bank. It decided Sunday not to increase the amount of emergency credit for Greek banks after having already supported them for weeks. Without that credit, Greece's 4 major banks could soon run out of cash. Analysts predict that the Greek government and its creditors will need to negotiate an entirely new bailout in order to keep Greece from defaulting on its debt. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
And those are today's top stories from CBN News.